All right, hey, I'm Jamie, and we're back on the GE 44-tonner, my little rebuild project. Again, I picked this model up for around $20 used. We tested it out. All the components seem to be working in it. But me being me, we're going to do a complete upgrade and upgrade it to DCC and do all the little features to it. So I've tore it down, and we have basically just a shell that's left. The center one piece doesn't seem to want to come out, and I'm not going to force it. Part of the process, I removed the horns and windshield wipers, and what we're going to do is the horn has left a hole in the hood. That would be okay if I was going to put a horn back there. I'm not. I'm actually going to relocate the horn to the top of the cab unit with a dual directional horn. That's more prototypical for these units today. You can find various pictures of everybody has their own flavor. I'm sure as soon as the horn burns out, somebody sticks in there. Somebody's resourceful. They're like, oh, we got a 3-1. Put it in there. So this is what we're going to do today. We're going to patch up the hole. We need that. I need the hole patch before I can paint it up and make it match in. So that's what we're going to start with today. And what I'm going to do is go ahead and start a cleanup around it. I've got my tools here, and I'm going to start with some 91% IPA. And all I'm just going to do is just put a little bit in, and I'm going to use the IPA to clean up around the hole, both inside and outside, to get rid of any oil or anything else that could be left behind that would prevent the plastic putty from curing and adhesing to the model correctly. And that's the main thing. If you touch the model, again, I don't know how it's been used and stuff like that, and just by handling it, you're going to get your oils from your skin on it. You just want to do a quick cleanup. The thing you need to know about IPA on the newer models like these, they could react with the paint. So just be very, very careful with it. I'm just going to do a little test on the bottom of it, and just rubbing it back and forth there, you see I did get a little bit of a paint off. Not much, but it's still something to be kind of concerned about. You just don't want to leave it on there. You don't want to put a huge amount. So I'm just going to dip it to get a little bit on it. And my other camera here, let's see if we see, do we see it? Trying to get, I'm going to work upside down here. So we have the hole here, and I'm just going to kind of clean it up a little bit. Use my other end to kind of dry it, and I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to flip it around my way so I can see it a little bit better. Yep. Now there are some other little marks on here I'm going to get rid of as well. Again, you don't want to do much, and you don't want to put a lot of pressure on it. And right now I'm just kind of concentrating on the hole itself, and I'm going to go to the bottom and do the same thing. On the bottom, I'm not too concerned about if I get a lot of paint off. There we go. And as you can see, it did remove some of the paint. So again, you want to be very careful with IPA. If you actually take a model, the newer models, if you dunk them in IPA, alcohol, 91%, you can remove the paint from newer models that way, just so you know. I'm going to let that dry a second, and what I'm going to do is come back with some Vallejo, I think that's right, Vallejo plastic putty. And forgive me, English is not my first language. So I've used this a lot. I don't have any ties to this company. It's just something I picked up. I like it, and I use it. In my little dish here, I'm going to squeeze that a little bit, just to make sure. And usually I was going to go from the dish to here, but no, it came out pretty good. So I'm just going to come inside the model. Let me see if everybody can see this. And where the hole was from the inside out. Get it in there and give it a little squirt. Yep. what I'm going to try to do there we go. What I did is took the tip of the plastic putty, lined it up with the hole, and gave it a little bit of pressure, and that pressurized the plastic putty coming out, and as you see, it's risen up through the hole at the top. That's exactly what we wanted to do. If you try to use this stuff on top, you have to come back, usually with a straight edge, something similar to this, and try to scrape it, fill it in. It kind of can make a mess. This worked perfectly. Sometimes it doesn't work as well, and you've got to play with it a little bit more, but that looks really good. I'm pleased how that came out. And what I'm going to do is let this dry for a few hours, and I'm going to come back with my hobby knife and actually just come under it and file it. Well, file is not a good word, but just cut it flush with the body. And that will get us ready to paint, and we're going to do some paint coloration tests to make sure it can kind of match as close as possible to this paint job. I'm also going to come in and clean up where the windshield wipers were, and we're going to do that coming up. So what I'm going to do is let this sit up and dry for a little bit, I think probably 4 hours or more, and let this cure, and I'm going to come in and file it clean, not really file it, but use my hobby knife to make it clean to the body, to give it a nice smooth surface. And then I'm going to do the same thing to clean up the parts where the windshield wipers were, and that will get us ready for the painting process. And then we're going to match some paint as close as we can to the body. Again, since it was a rebuild, we can kind of get away with not being exact. I'm going to weather this model anyway, so we don't have to be right on the money, just close enough. So that's what we're going to do next. So I'll be back in a few hours to finish up the patching job, and we'll go from there. All right, see you in a bit. All right, we're back. I allowed the plastic putty to dry about 4 hours. And what I'm going to do is come in with a blade, as you can see here on this, and I'm just going to scrape it along the top surface. Not very heavily, just kind of a light scrape to use it as like a basically smoother. And the putty is already pretty much level with the cab, so I don't have to do much, but I'm just going to scrape it across to make sure it's flush with the top plastic, the top of the model, so it doesn't, you don't want it sticking out. If it's too deep in there, then you have a recess hole. So I just want to make it level with the top of the model, and that's all I'm doing with this. It's just a gentle scrape. And any part of the putty that's sticking out, this will remove it. And again, you don't want to do it hard. If you do it too hard, you're going to scratch into the paint of the model, and then you have some other repairs to do. But after doing that, that looks good. After doing that, we can see here, you can kind of see the filler is now, you can see it's white. And what we're going to do is mix up some paint to kind of match it a little bit better. I'm going to use a very fine brush to brush it in. But one other thing, since I've got my scraper here, I'm just going to go over these parts where the windshield wipers broke off at, and make sure they're flush with the model as well. And I'm just going to do the very same technique, which is basically just a scrape along the model. And when I hit the edge that's sticking up, I'm just going to kind of just gently scrape along that to remove the excess that's sticking up. And again, you really want to take your time. Don't force it too hard. You don't want to eat into the model when you do this. And also when you're doing it, make sure your fingers are not pointing towards the blade. Last thing we want to do is get stabbed with our hobby knife. Alright. All right, that side looks great. I'm going to repeat the same thing on this side. And again, just a gentle rub. That's 2. And then repeat it on the opposite side. And the final there's that one. Yep, and that looks great. So now we have the pieces that were removed flush with the model. We're going to go back and touch that up with paint. Alright, so now that we have the hole patched up, I'm feeling pretty good about the model. Next episode, we're going to mix up some paint to get it to match the red a little bit closer and touch up the 5 little spots here. That will just make it a little bit better so we don't see those blotches in it. Once we get the paint matched and we touch up those, then in another episode I'm actually going to apply a decal. If you notice that there's really no numbers on this one, I'm going to come up with a decal number. I'm already came up with a number, I think 30 or 40 for this model. Going to print that out using some white toner I got. So that's going to be very exciting. Really my first use of that, so I'm kind of curious how that's going to turn out. So if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel, follow me, like me, or whatever, and we'll continue down the rebuild process of the GE 44 tonner. And until next time, I hope everybody has a great day, and I'll talk to you soon.